I could call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. According to other clocks, that was a little bit slow. Start with roll call. Trustee, we do this, Secretary Armstrong. Here. Vice President Baisley. Yeah. Treasurer Trustee Boland. Absent. Trustee Naylor. Here. Treasurer Rosso. Here. Trustee Smith. Here. And I am here. We could please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before we go for the approval of the agenda, I'd like to move some things around here through the consent agenda. I'd like to pull up the minutes from the personnel committee that you have a revised copy in front of you and put that down to discussion. I'd like to move that to discussion item E as in Edward after the coffee chat. I'd also like to add item F for committees. And I'd like to, and then item G would be the book challenge update.
So personnel before coffee chat, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, before coffee.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what were the other two?
Then item F would be committees. And then G would be, let's see.
Challenge or coffee?
I'm sorry, G would be the book challenge.
Okay.
It is coffee. Or coffee chat before personnel committee?
Yes.
It remains D.
Coffee chat can remain D.
Okay.
And then, I'm sorry.
E is personnel.
E is personnel minutes.
Okay. F is committee.
F is committees.
And G is.
And then G would be book challenge. Do we have a second?
So.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion made.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Lucky when that was. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion made. Second.
Nancy second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving right along, library directors report. Let's get this going.
So fast, okay. I have an update for you that I did not print, but I did just write it today, so I can probably remember most of it. Any questions about the written report before I move into other things? Sure.
That was really interesting about the literacy collection. I didn't know it existed. Where is it and what is the open dyslexic?
So it's the point, in the last few years, I think Carolyn, who has moved on now, came and showed us some of them, but it's in the youth department, in the middle of all of the things, and I am working on a map of the youth department to show where everything is. And it's a unique collection because we're calling it literacy because it's for educators, homeschoolers, people teaching kids to read. I thought this was interesting just because it is a big change in the schools, and I know that isn't us that we try to support. Open dyslexic fonts, I probably should bring one and show you. They just, to me, who's not dyslexic, they look a little funny. Like they just kind of squiggly look to them. My daughter's dyslexic and she likes reading those. Now, I would not choose it. It's really good on e-readers because you can just turn it on and not have to have a book printed that way. Decodable text, phonics, and they're returning to phonics in the school teaching is the bit. Did I answer your question? It's a small collection. There's lots of signage in that area because there's about this many books that are just dyslexic focused. There's this many books that are teaching somebody to read. And so we've been building it, but it's been hard to build because there isn't a lot of great stuff. But there's a whole thing that I could talk for a while about, that they just changed the curriculum from what was called Lucy Hawkins, to this new one. And as a parent of a dyslexic child, it was always frustrating to be told just to read to my child more. Because I read to her a lot, right? I'm a librarian. That was the instruction. The more they hear it and the more they do it. And so now they're doing more breaking things down.
Well, I think it's really cool. You put in here that it's unique to libraries in our area. I
Yeah.
wonder if we should do an article or something and let people know that. It's there.
I've been onboarding the new, so we had a transition this year with some people leaving. I think so. There is one in, I think, Bloomfield Township, and I'm going there for a meeting tomorrow, so maybe we could collaborate on why it's unique. And I should check that it still is, but it is neat. We could do an article on something, especially locally, to let parents know that we have it. So, yeah. I'd be happy to show it to you. The other updates. I'll have it here in a minute. Quick update on the status of the outdoor project. We did come to a verbal commitment with the schools. I did draft a letter that I showed the ad hoc committee. I sent it at the end of the day on Friday. So Monday I heard, let me review this, and I haven't received it back yet. So I'm gonna promise tomorrow. It's gonna be, I'm hopeful that it will be close to acceptable. And I might need help pushing that on if I don't hear from tomorrow. But I did hear, I sent it first to the operations director to look it over before he took it to for signature.
You were really curious on.
So,
Never enough.
no, is that why I haven't heard from them?
His last day will be April 2nd.
Okay, well,
Sorry, what
But
did you
we're
say?
looking through it.
Okay.
The director of operations does not resign from her own school.
well, that explains some things.
So-
Okay, well, more to follow on that. So I'm hopeful that we are, and we're not, they started moving, but I want this thing signed so that we don't waste time and money again. But that explains some delays. Yeah, well, and
Just a little speaking with him on Monday, because he was in their building.
yeah,
I gave him a hug and I
Yeah.
said, can I hug you? Because he was, it was kind of, it was a great conversation. He goes, oh, you just really want to get this done for you guys. And
yeah,
get me
that's
this." So-
what it's been saying to me too. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure we're on the right track there. The other update, I remember what it was. The Friday, we were closed for staffing service, and we had a safety training from A Train Tactical. A gentleman named Aaron Witt trained us. We were in this room. I felt like the feedback I got from staff was it was useful because it was tabletop exercises. We weren't running around. He had things, he'd met with me a few times. He had scenarios. He did a good job scaffolding it because safety training can be really kind of upsetting if you've done it. And good and bad, like you need to go through it. But it was great because he started with why you need to worry about this. Like, do you buckle your seatbelt? That is being prepared, He walked us through statistics, so it was good. He knew how to work with library types because we all want to know why you're making me think about this. But then we talked about how to leave an area, different strategies, and I could tell from the staff they've done Alice training, they've done maybe stop the bleed training and some other trainings. So there was a lot more like thought production in the room. So I'm going to follow up with a survey to the staff about what they want to do next, because it was like a good starting point, but I don't feel like it's finished. He is helping me. He did just today give me a report, which I'll run through the committees because it has suggestions for things to do to the physical plant and then maybe different types of trainings to help secure the building. And then he's helping me in the next week. We have a meeting with Scott and I to finish updating the emergency manual, which is really what the staff want to see too, because they want to know. That's the thing they have to read and sign that they've read. So overall, it was a good day. We did escape room in the afternoon and that lightened the mood. I had never done one. I got out a boat. And it was fun. It was a mobile escape room, so like a trailer was in our parking lot. If you drove by and you'd go in. And it was much more creative thinking than I thought it would be. I was thinking it was like really like, how do we get out of this room? But it was more like, how do you open this thing? So it was fun. And it was good team building. I made sure, Liz helped me make the list and we put people from different departments together so that the people I don't work with, I was in there with. And it's just a good way to see them in a different light, literally, right? So it was a good day. I'm hopeful that we can come up with some things. I felt good about it because it was a positive training. And I don't think anyone was upset at it. Which sometimes you have to be, right? But it was a good one. So I'm gonna recommend it to other libraries. And then the other things I was gonna update you on are just, they're gonna come up later. The memo that I shared about the penal fines is on the agenda, so I'll tell you about that. And anything else should come up through that. Any questions?
Policy 3020, internet use community relations.
Good. I actually want to leave that one off just because I pushed it forward and now I've actually learned a few things and I want to delay it a month if I can.
Okay, for 3020?
For 3020, yes,
Okay.
but I brought it forward because if you read the minutes, and we were ready to adopt it, but I learned a few things since our meeting.
Okay.
We are filtering all the computers in the building. And when I say we, the company we use is, which is why we have a. I really.
I would never have an issue.
I was surprised by that, and then I think I need to then change some of the policy. Because segmenting it the way the policy is written will take a minute,
Okay.
and I have to decide if I have to since it already is. So I have more questions than answers, so I wanna push it one more.
So send it back.
Send it back to me.
Okay.
Not because there's an issue and we are more covered than I initially thought.
That's great.
But I think we can make it a little easier in some ways than the policy is written right now, and I don't wanna make it.
Okay. 40, policy 4020. Would you use a lot of work to spend on this one?
I have a question for clarification. Under application, the second page, the second from the bottom bullet point. I was a little confused by the two sentences together. So it says to ensure meeting room access to a greater number, only one meeting room reservation will be approved per month per requester. But then it says additional reservations are permitted with associated rental fees. So is only one reservation, can people only reserve one, or can they reserve more with availability?
The first one's free, and then we talked about it, and then you still waive the fee if it's like a nonprofit or something. I think that's what we came up with, right? They can still not have to pay. So, but they don't want people to get like just taking all the rooms off.
So that's referencing one free meeting per month, so like maybe we add that.
Maybe per requester without charge or something like that.
But that's kind of what we were trying to say, but maybe it's not clear. Only one meeting room without, one meeting room reservation without charge will be approved per month.
Yeah, the addition of with associated fees was to imply, I often will waive it and allow someone the second one, but then they ask every day, and then you can say, well, you're gonna have to start following the. So.
Yeah, and
Just
I'm
rewrite that sentence.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
read like, you can't do this, but we're gonna let you do this.
Yeah.
So what is your suggestion?
To ensure meeting room access to a greater number, only one meeting room reservation without charge will be approved per month per requester.
So without charge. Okay. And that's the really only change that makes sense. Yeah, we talked about that, so
Right.
that's an easy way of making it right there. Any other comments?
Look at the back as well, the revenue and the staffing fees, that took a lot of time as well, to work with that, so a lot of work, Liz and Sarah both put a lot of work into this.
Do you think we can approve with that one change, or do we need to? I feel like it's
I think that's
straightforward enough.
straightforward with
Yeah.
that. Any other discussion or questions or comments? So a motion to approve, policy 4020 as written with the change.
Motion made to approve policy with the additional verbiage for clarification. I'll second.
Motion on the floor is by Becky Beasley, second by Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Policy 4020, music hall reservation and use.
So in other words, it's 4021.
4021.
So at the bottom of the first page under reservations. So the process is that they submit an inquiry or by emailing, but anybody wishing to use the music hall must submit an application from the website.
Actually, the part that's in blue should be struck.
Okay.
And I think that's just the problem when I was using Google.
Oh, okay.
But I'm glad you noticed, that would be confusing. So the red replaced that, and the reasoning is, if you're curious, we were finding people would fill it out and then get to Liz, and there'd be something already in the works, and then they'd feel that they already had it, so it's cutting them off at the chase.
Yeah, well, and actually my concern is gonna be, accessibility.
Yeah.
And if anybody isn't comfortable being online or reserving. things.
Yeah, so a call's the first step now.
Okay.
Or email, but still. Because there's a lot of back and forth before they get to the application phase, which is
A
fine.
lot of the changes were to go online with what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And they were trying to work out the process to make it easier.
Any other discussion for 4021? Is there a motion to revise the policy 4021 as written? With this strike down, with this strike down blue?
Make the motion.
Nancy make the motion, second by Holly. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Policy 8005. Board organization or legal. No changes.
I think there's some changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were no changes in that policy at all, but yeah, that was just time to review.
We both did that, okay.
Thanks, Donna.
Is there a motion to accept 8005 with no changes? Just because it was reviewed by that committee.
Second. Yeah, all three were no.
Second by Becky. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Policy 8006, there were no changes in that one as well. And 8007, I think we can make a motion to accept both of these because there was no changes. Sorry, motion, I'll move to accept 8006 and 8007. I'll second. All those in favor?
I
Motion passes unanimously.
had a question. I was just thinking it. Should we put any with no changes in the consent agenda? Would that save effort? Or is that?
You could do it next time.
And you can pull it out every time. Yeah, people look
You
at
can
it.
pull it out for minutes if there are
Because
questions.
we often do
Right.
changes, it's unusual, but I
Right.
was thinking with that when we were talking earlier, so
Uh-huh.
we'll try it next month to see if it's disruptive.
Sure.
Okay.
I make it quick, a little quicker. Policy 8004. Conduct of the library board meetings. This is the one with the clean copy, because this was discussed last month as well. Questions, comments?
Okay. Make a motion to accept as modified.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Policy 8003. 801, excuse me, 801, response to correspondence to the board. There were, board secretary for the biggest change in here is, this is a clean copy after talking from last month as well.
I'll move to accept policy as changed in the letter.
I'll second.
So for discussion purposes, I know we talked about this last time because the whole thing was Xed out when we were presented last time. And this is dealing with correspondence. So as a secretary, when Tim gets correspondence, this means the correspondence will be forwarded to the full board.
Correct.
But if, let's say, a patron, you know, brings our attention to something, the way to bring it to the board table, the only way to do that then would be to add it on as an agenda item. Would that be correct? Is that what I'm reading into this? Because you're not
Yeah, right,
saying one way or the other.
right, correct.
So anyway, so for Kim's purposes, she gets the correspondence or somehow gets the correspondence. She's not needing to respond to it except today to say thank you for sending this correspondence and that she would make sure that the board members get it, right?
Correct.
So it's not like we're not delivering the mail, so to speak.
Correct, right.
Yeah, and there's a line where it says it'll be, for the director, for responsive one. So
Yes,
that-
so that's left intentionally kind of open-ended, if there would be a question that needed immediate response or whatever.
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to be clear.
Because the change in the board secretary for acknowledgement of receipt and to the library director for response as warranted.
Don't need to vote.
Yeah, we still, yeah, but any other discussion? There's a motion on the table. Okay. So all those in favor of accepting 8013?
Okay.
Aye. Motion passes. Policy 8015. This is also returned to the committee with a clean copy.
I have a question, I think this might have always been there, but, section 3. E. Where it says, if additional time is available, the board president may ask if anybody else wishes to speak. That was like, I would suggest we just strike that, and there's like, we don't have a set meeting time, so how do we determine if time is available, right? That would be completely arbitrary.
That's always right.
Yeah, we've never
Right,
said nobody can speak because we're going home.
correct.
So,
Right.
So strike.
Straight.
Is
People
it
who
part
turn.
2 or part 3? Right.
And if additional time is available, the board president may ask if anyone wishes to speak. You want to start
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but leave the first
So-
part, people who turn in cards will be asked to speak first.
Yeah.
So you would say the card should be given to the board president. People who turn in cards will be asked to speak, period.
Ask to be speak.
Yes,
Asked to speak.
because then we're removing the next.
Because we're removing the rest. Removing and
Right.
additional time is available, the board president may ask if anyone else wishes to speak. That's what you're looking to strike.
Well, I don't have a problem with board president asking if anybody else wishes to speak. My concern was just if the time is available, because we don't have any definition
Okay,
of
Yeah.
what time is available.
Okay.
Because you still could.
So just strike, and if additional time is available, the two turning cards may be asked to speak first, period.
Okay.
So board president may.
So are we leaving the word first?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
So we're only striking and if
Additional time is available.
Yeah.
That's good. I can see on that picture this one.
Mhm. Any other?
No, I was gonna say, I move to accept, policy 815 as amended, with the strike out that sentence.
Second.
So for discussion, just and clarification, I think, as keeping the minutes. Our past practice has been to, if we had written comments on the cards or written after or before, they would go in the minutes. Now we're saying those are not going in. I just want to be clear. So.
That is correct.
Correct.
All we're saying now is John Smith spoke, right here,
Correct.
but no, trying to decipher what the notes might be.
Correct.
Or what the comments are, or even if they're written.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so that is a kind of a big change. I don't think it's as transparent as the other way, but I know how cumbersome it can be to get people's comments right.
And since the meetings are recorded, if they're speaking in front of the public, it'll be on a recording as well.
Who seconded that one?
I did.
No, okay. Wait.
Any other discussions? Motion on the floor to approve as amended with striking the sentence as the time. And addition, if additional time is available. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. So. Not a public request form. This is a new thing talking to in the public forum. Questions, comments?
So, per your comment last time, Jenny, if you come from Ohio, you can speak.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. And if you come.
That was cool.
Yes, yes, and if you come from
And
Alaska.
So my question is, what would our purpose be in putting, do you live within the boundaries of the Hartland School District, yes or no? I mean, what would we do with that information, I guess? Because as a practical matter, because all the libraries have such great reciprocity, I mean, I go to Brighton all the time. And I could go to a Brighton meeting. So and I just don't know what we would do with that information, I guess.
The purpose of putting that on there when it came from committee as well is to understand that the people in the district that are in our voting district for Cromaine Library. That was the purpose of putting in there. So Cromaine Library is within the Hartland consolidated boundaries of the school district for our voters in the areas. Again, anyone can speak from Ohio, from Alaska, from Puerto Rico.
And if people are not obligated, like if they don't fill it out, they can still speak, because it's an open meeting,
Right.
but I imagine most people would probably just put it on, and I understand that people are uncomfortable putting their address without it, which I empathize with. So I decided to take that out, because we didn't want people to feel uncomfortable about that. But I like to know whether it's people in our district, and I would like to keep that in. It's not that I'm not gonna listen to other people, but, they're the people that are paying the taxes for our county and paying for this library.
Okay, just want to know what was.
Mhm. Yeah, any other questions or comments or discussion?
I move we accept the modified public form.
Second. Motion on the board to accept by Becky, second by Kim, all those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Information memo, penal and civil fines potential redirection.
So we just put that on there in case there were questions. The finance committee had asked me if we should draft a letter at this time, and I feel like that it's not time to draft a letter from the board yet. This is more so you don't understand it. I pulled most of this info from the website describing how it might affect us from MLA. But, as I understand it, there is a state of Michigan constitutional mandate that penal fines go to libraries. And that is the argument right now for why they shouldn't redistribute it. There's valid reasons why the courts need money, right? But they're saying it's in the Constitution, and it'd be harder than just to make a decision. So I think at some point, when there's a call to action to contact our legislatures, but this way you would know about it if you see state legislatures. I'm often at events where I do see them, so it's nice to have it all laid out if you want to just say, I did look at who's on the committees that it's in, and it's nobody local, but it's always worth letting them know that you're concerned about it. So, and sadly, this is a link, so I'll send you the link. That's right there. But there was a joint hearing, which is the first action we've seen. They've been talking about it. Perhaps.
Do you have any sense of how it's going?
No, I don't.
Well, 1835 was a long time ago.
It was, that's the
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And part of the board training in the beginning was, it was supposed to be that if you made an infraction, like libraries would help you better yourself or something. So I know things have changed, but we do get, I did put in here, I believe, so we get 32,000 from the state aid, and we get 64,000 from this. So I'd hate to see that go away. That's at least a full salary of someone. So I'm hoping it won't happen. I just want to keep you abreast of it in case it comes up later. You'll have this to read. And I don't know how to get a sense of it, Nancy, because I'm not in that world, but I think it's worth knowing what to advocate for when you can, right? That's it for that. Good.
Coffee chat.
Thank you. Okay, so 2 additional coffee chats are held at the beginning of March. And again, these were just opportunities for the public to come in and have one-on-one dialogue, trustees. Caveat and the disclaimer was, it was personal opinions and personal comments. The participants, we weren't making any commitments or speaking for the board, so that we started off with and was made that information quite clear at the beginning of those. So overall, I believe that they were positive and a success. We hosted a total of 8 guests altogether. The sessions gave patrons an opportunity to ask questions. It gave an opportunity to express concerns. It gave an opportunity to yell at us in person if they wanted to, and it was an opportunity to get information and clarification on some items. And as trustees, we received really a lot of good feedback that actually actionable items that I think we will be pursuing. So it was a really good dialogue. And as I've said before, the sessions were kind of like a beta. They were kind of a test to see how the format worked, work out the bugs. And so we'll definitely be able to utilize some of the lessons learned that we came away with. And I'm anticipating potentially scheduling more later in the year. And like I said, we'll use the lessons learned and all of the good feedback and all of the ideas that was given to us. And so I wanted to say thank you to the board and the support, the director, and to the public for attending. And so overall, I think it was a good opportunity. So questions, comments, or any other?
Was the 8 guests in February and March?
It is, yes.
And you said that there were some actionable items, you have like a list of that the whole board could review or?
Nothing formal, because we weren't taking
Right,
notes or
yeah,
anything,
yeah,
but
right.
we had a really good dialogue, with some really good ideas from friends, the friends group, you know, some things that we could do and talk about at committee at some point in time, so that's a good example of that type of information, so.
One actionable item that was brought about during the discussion as well is to have everyone's picture on the website and everyone's bios. So some of those have been updated.
And I've updated them.
She's updated them in the last couple days, so it's.
So if you wanna change your bio or anything, if you've had it up for a long time, let me know, it's easy.
One of the concerns was having the address on the, I'll call the public, so that's already been changed, without being works.
Okay. So, moving forward, if we're like talking about or taking action on any of those items, can you let us know that that's where it came from?
Absolutely, yep. No, good, you guys,
That's a great.
for that,
point.
yeah, thank you, yeah.
Any other comments or? Yeah. So E, notes of personnel committee. So there's a revised, personnel committee minutes notes. And if you, for the discussion purpose, there was a few things that were added to this. Basically, discussion included the removal of the big concerns for a little people section. The books still reside in the parenting section, although they now have all white stickers and are not color coded.
Can you tell us where that is?
That
It's
is,
the bottom of the first page
oh, the bottom of the
Yeah.
first page.
and the top of the second.
Check it in the top of the second.
And I brought the sign, so you know what it looks like.
So this is what the new sign looks like. A discussion centered around concern for the color coding being offensive to some while helping some as well.
What was the concern about? Like who would be offended?
We don't know, it's personal probably, so.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly why people are offended, but they didn't like the color, and then I did empathize with the name. Like people didn't like big concerns, because it makes it look like it's something bad.
Oh, you mean the concerns with the the way the format was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I was just like, what's wrong with all white stickers?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Oh, no.
Yeah, all right.
Down there.
Right, they were changed to all white stickers with the new sign that Sarah, you know.
Yeah.
And then the other part of the discussion, it included the book challenge. The opening that explains retain, relocate, or label is good. So, and I sent you all the email on this as well. It will start with, we move to, does anybody make a motion to move to? Does anyone wish to relocate, retain, or label? This is the top of the second page. Discussion will proceed for each book, then the vote will be called. This will hopefully make the process more concise, and an alphabetical list of the books is provided in your packet as well today to kind of go through alphabetically. And the reason for this whole discussion with this is, when committee had originally said, we're gonna pick so many, picture books, so many chapter books, and to do it that way, was that why it was looking a little disorganized, I think, for people as well, or for the public. So it's a matter of, so that the board is not reading 20 chapter books in 1 month, so we decided to kind of mix them up and do a mix and match for that as well. But hopefully, as this goes on for discussion tonight, it'll be a little bit smoother. Again, we're kind of working out the bumps because it's a new for everybody.
And that's why I placed this on your tables, and I'll put it on the additional information link, I didn't yet, because we just gotten to it. And it might be because I'm a librarian, but alphabetizing it makes it easier for me to just find it, because I had it sorted by, again. So it's the same list, and since yesterday, I think I color coded it, because again, I'm a visual person, and that way you can see what we've done without having to figure out what it means. So we can always change this, it's not an official that.
Right. And the original list that we had, was per category, like
Yes.
parenting, teen fiction, juvenile, nonfiction. But the new list is, you can use both, but I mean, the new list, I think is a little bit more organized as well. Any other comments about the minutes or?
Yeah, can you, talk about the discussion around, social tolerance label? How did that discussion go?
Social issues.
the social issues, yeah.
So the first discussion we had was, I don't know if you saw it in the minutes, that Sarah brought two books that the staff, it looked like they were almost the same author.
They were the same author,
Same
yeah.
author, and the staff had decided to label one social issues and one not. Because of whether they thought that the social issue was the point of the book. So then I was looking at it while we were sitting there, and all the social issue books also have another point to them, you know, because the book is a story. But the easy way to figure out whether a book is a social issue book is just to look at how it's marketed and how the book was even decided to be purchased. So when you looked at the front of the book, you could tell that it was a social issue book. And if you even looked it up on Amazon, it said like that was the point of the book. So I empathize with the staff trying to decide, but there's easy ways to figure it out. They don't even have to read the book. They can just figure out how it was marketed and point the buying the book. So that's how that came about. So in my opinion, they should have both been labeled because that's what the book was marketed to be, just like the other one.
So these are not books on our list
No.
for the appeals.
Or were they on the list? I don't think so.
No.
No, they're not on this.
But I thought we weren't going to tell the staff where books should go in the library, but that's not our purview.
This wasn't moving the books anywhere.
Yeah.
This was talking about the movement to label books in the kids section that we have been doing. So this was Sarah letting us know.
Yeah,
the
this is my
progress of the
quarterly
staff.
update on that.
Yeah, it was the progress of the staff.
And I brought the example so that it wouldn't be a surprise in a year, right? Since we had the discussion, I've been thinking about it. And going for new books, like books that come in now, it'll be easy enough.
That's what I thought.
Because we don't know. I think there's gonna be some gray areas with the ones that we're retroactively doing, and we'll do the best we can. We can always discuss it, but
So
yeah,
I'm a little confused because we've agreed multiple times that this is up to staff discretion. In fact, actually in December, when we did the first like book challenge conversation, I asked, because I disagreed with one of those labels being on a book. And I said, are we gonna be discussing this? Because I'd like to discuss it. And I was told, no, we're not gonna discuss this. That's up to the staff. So my question is, why are you discussing it?
Because Sarah brought the book to committee to
So why is
discuss.
it being discussed
The
in
reason
committee
it's
at all?
Because she,
I'll tell you, let me explain it. So the reason it's being discussed is because it is actually a personnel issue, because it was brought to the staff, Sarah being the leader, that this was a project they were gonna work on. It got stalled, and then the public was upset, people were upset, they're like, what's going on? And that was because of book challenge, because they couldn't do everything at one time, and they were concentrating on that. So we were trying to see what the status is going forward. Did they start to work on it, and how's it going?
Right, and I don't have any problem with the update, the genre label project that just says how many books have been reviewed, what types of labels. My concern is a fewfold. Number one, when I wanted to discuss it, I was told no. But it's being discussed, not in open session. So, and that is indicate, like you said, in your opinion, that is not at staff's discretion.
And that
And
was
it, opinions shouldn't be used, if we're gonna be talking about opinions on which books need a label, then that needs to be taking place in open session, not in committee or not by independent trustees.
And that's one of the reasons these minutes were pulled out, so you can discuss what happened.
Right,
We
so
did, and what I actually said, I said, I wanna talk about this at the open meeting, because of the concerns that you have.
So why don't, just to avoid any, like, we don't want the public to think that there's some kind of pressure campaign going on here, right? So why don't we just ask that Sarah's report out, quarterly report out, be part of her director's report at the full board meeting, and then there doesn't need to be any discussion on anybody's opinions on any books outside of open meeting.
yeah, and I think I leaned into that because I brought the example, like I wasn't requested to bring an example.
Yeah,
Because
I just don't
I-
understand why, like, if it's to staff, if we have agreed that it's staff discretion, then our opinions are irrelevant.
Right,
It's
but
not
they're
staff,
asking, because they're the ones ordering the books, and they're worried, and they wanna make sure they're doing it the way people would expect. And they're trying to find an easy way to do it. And I actually said, going forward, when they're ordering the books, they can tell, and, cause I don't want them to spend a lot of time doing this either.
it'll be very easy going forward because the way books are marketed, they tell you what genre, that's why they're being purchased. Right, the genre, but Sarah said, this is how staff would do it, and you said, no, we want you to do it a different way. I said, from an objective opinion, not even just me, if you look at how the book's marketed, it's marketed as a social issue book, that's the whole reason. So it's not just my opinion, it's how Amazon is marketing it, it's how the bookseller is doing it, it's why the author wrote it. Right, but you did just say a few minutes ago, in my opinion. It's also my opinion, but it's also objective. If I wasn't there and they just looked at the website, they would have figured out the same thing. Right, but that's not staff discretion. That is not, staff discretion is.
15 minutes to close it in the library. That's
Okay,
now.
get on it.
Right.
That's after time.
Confuse the owl. Staff discretion is like all of the other daily tasks that the staff does. They have discretion in 1,001 different things because this opinions on labeling books is not a board function. It's a staff function, which we affirmed during discussion, right? Yes, this is up to staff discretion. If the board is saying, actually, you should be doing this, then that is not up to staff discretion. That is a board decision and needs to be treated as such.
Sarah brought the book to the.
Right. She was asking, what is it?
She was asking for direction, and she was asking for direction in the personnel committee. So therefore, that is why we pulled out the minutes here today, to have full board discussion on this.
Excellent.
Okay,
So,
Going forward, I won't do that. I'll just do numbers. And I have been thinking of it as a retroactive project, but I need to make sure they're doing it on ones that are coming in, which again, I need to be explicit about because I don't know that I have said that. So I need to make sure. Because then it would be more than 21 probably. So, and that will be easier for staff.
so yeah, just asking for clarification, like no individual trustee will be telling staff their opinion. No personnel or any other committee discussion, it will all moving forward. Anything having to do with that social issues label will take place in open meeting.
correct.
Sure.
So just to remind everybody, we did receive a letter as a board from our attorney saying that labels are not cool unless you're talking about cats, colors, dinosaurs, the other examples. When it comes to social issues, it can be interpreted very differently. And if we are at risk by having this kind of a social issue label, the same thing with the big concerns for little people. Other libraries have been sued. So I just want to remind everybody that we're not just, we've never had a motion at this board table that said we sanction social issues as a label per se. It's just something that has evolved and other libraries are doing it. So the committee thought that that was okay, that we
We should
should
compromise the community. And actually, we are aware that we all received the information. There's also,
just bringing it to your attention.
there's also an interesting, if anyone's interested, there's a site that was put together by the ACLU, which is like their problem areas. And it says what's going on in schools and libraries across the state of Michigan. There's a map. So if you go on there, you can look and see what other places are doing. So we're not the only people, we're not racist and homophobic. This is kind of like something that's happening in other places. So if you want to look and see, so it's a thing. The other libraries that are doing this are listed as a problem. Yes, according to the ACLU, because they go by the ALA, but they don't want labels on anything. They go by the Constitution. They go by the ALAs. They go by the Constitution. So actually, that's a big red flag. The Constitution does not say you cannot label. The Constitution says that we also cannot censor books based on. We're not doing that. Putting a warning label on a book is not removal. That's why we're not. It's not banning, but it is censorship. It is putting an opinion, it is placing a judgment on the book. So we need to be crystal clear that pressuring staff in any way to put any kind of label outside, like we went through all of this process for the sexually explicit label. And then on the other side, we're just like, put this on this, right? Putting a label on a book to warn somebody of content is a form of censorship. It is not banning, it is not removal, but it is placing judgment on the book. And that is a risk factor. If it's truly up to staff discretion and staff is putting their personal and their professional judgment that they've gone to like graduate school for, then I'm not worried because that's literally what they've gone to grad. That's 6 years of school to learn how to do that within the confines of the Constitution and how to do that ethically. As soon as we start wading in, we are again right back into big concern areas based on the fact that putting a judgment on a book is an act of censorship, even if it isn't book fair. So I'm happy having it pulled out.
The genre labels, and that's why we're going the direction we are.
So we'll just have those
Not
discussions.
stigmatizing, and we're,
Right, but again, we'll just have the next quarterly discussion once they're right, with the director's report and the open board meeting with this type of labels were put on 256 pictures and 49 board, right? And no conversations on this outside of board meeting.
Just so you're aware as well, there was issue 2, and Sarah did take the committee around to the different areas of the library. There are individuals in this community that are very upset for the literacy stickers that are red, green, and blue as well. So there's also people, so that are very upset about having a red dot, a green dot, and a blue dot for the literacy in the children's section.
Well,
And
they're
that
not,
actually
they're
helps.
not upset, they were confused with the pink dots and the,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's a matter of even for different reading levels, people are upset about. So trying to please everybody is.
Is certainly impossible.
Correct.
Yes, I just want to make sure that we are well back from the edge of potentially
Yes.
opening the library to expensive things.
Yes. Any other comments on this? Next on the item is committees. I have, a trustee that will not be able to serve on the finance committee. Is there anyone that would like to be on the finance committee? And if not, we're still okay with finding it with 2.
So you're saying Bill Boland won't be serving on any committees?
Currently, no.
Is he going to be attending meeting?
Yes, he is.
Okay,
Oh,
I mean, it's a fair question. I'm
no, yeah.
asking and
No, that's okay. He will not be at this meeting. He told me before, 3 weeks ago, so it was a conflict. I just wanted to bring that forward if anybody wanted to serve, so we're just gonna leave it as it is. Book challenge update. Board has the option to, for the book challenge, relocate, move to a different section, retain, keep where it is located, label, ask that a sexually explicit label be put on the list. This pertains to the challenged books. The board does not have the authority to remove books per our policy. The director is the only person that can remove or read books.
So I would move that the list that you have presented that we'll go over today, that should be retained per the director and staff's recommendation.
Okay, we're gonna do one book at a time.
Okay, but I was just trying to expedite if I have any support.
Wait 1 second. 1 second.
Okay, is there motion on the floor just to accept everything as it is? What's the
To
motion?
retain
To
per
retain-
the staff
Retain
recommendation.
all the books for the staff recommendation. Roll call vote. To retain. I'm sorry, Dawn?
No.
Which Holly?
Yes.
Nancy, yes. Kim?
no.
Becky?
No.
And I am a no. Motion does not pass. So what we will do is we're gonna go through each book. Does anyone wish to relocate or label Ash's Cabin? Okay. Uh, so Ash's Cabin is retained. Is there anyone that wishes to relocate or label Best Liars of Riverview? That is retained. Is there anyone that wishes to relocate or label Between the Pipes? Retained. Is there anyone that wishes to relocate or label Beautiful Something Else? That is retained. Is there anyone that wishes to relocate or label Breathe?
I think that one should be, I would request that that one be moved to adults. It's about breast finding and it can be harmful to youth and young people if it's not done correctly, and I think that it's something that needs to be done under the supervision of a parent or guardian.
So which of the categories on our review sheet does it fall under?
Well, it can be sexually explicit, and
What in the book, but we're not talking about can, right? What page was in the book?
there were no page numbers in that book. None of them have to. There was not one page. So the whole entire book is about breast pump.
Right, but the definition of sexually explicit visual material,
So I guess it can fall under sadomasochistic if you will.
but you have to, okay, we're gonna go through the definition, right? Because that's what we agreed to do, and we're gonna tell the community that we're following our policy.
Okay, if we follow, you know what I'm gonna do,
Follow
I'll
policy.
put my patron hat on if you'd like, and I can fill out.
You can't
a
log on
challenge.
the table.
Not on this table, but when I come back in, I'll put on my patron hat now.
Okay,
But
it's
in a
24
challenge.
months because we agreed these books wouldn't be charged, it wouldn't be challenged, right, for 2
That
years.
is right.
That is 2 years, yes, yes.
Okay, so
We need an
We have a-
image, if there's no pages, I recognize that, but we need an image that we can say, yes, this image, and we can count the pages ourselves, right? Has, picture, photograph, drawing, sculpture, motion picture, film, video game, or similar visual representation that depicts nudity, sexual excitement, erotic fondling, sexual intercourse, or sadomasochistic abuse on page.
Well, it does have pictures of the tape and everything on, you know, so naked from here down and the tape. So,
Are any genitals or breasts exposed in the images?
no, they're covered with tape, but you
So
know
there's
that they're
no
covered with
nudity.
tape, so.
So there's no nudity.
So are you asking to move this?
I would like us to, I think it needs to be moved, I think it can be harmful, and I think, we talk about a lawsuit,
Harmful.
there you go, right? You know, I mean, you're all about lawsuits, Holly, and
I am, and our agreement for.
I understand, that's why
So
I
if
said.
we're going to vote, we're gonna move this against policy, that is, again, another big red flag.
Okay, so you're asking,
I'm gonna say that I second that it is a health issue. I think it's irresponsible for us to have that book in the children's section because it can cause harm. I understand that it's not going on a sexually explicit way that we're going, but from a common sense perspective, I don't understand why the librarians have it in the children's section. This is potentially harmful. This is teaching kids that this is an option, whereas,
Excuse me, I think it's in teen graphic novels per new list.
well, there'll be teens that we doing it because little kids they haven't developed yet, so obviously it would be a teen. So it's not appropriate, in my opinion, from a health perspective, because there's many interventions that are now not sanctioned by not only our government, but the United Kingdom, other countries. And what we're doing is we're making this propaganda that you can start changing your body, and we're encouraging kids to do this.
We are not encouraging children to do anything any more than having a book on skateboarding encourages kids to skateboard. It's merely.
Skateboarding is not a damage to the
What
person's body where you're intentionally.
okay, one person at a
What part
time.
of our policy does it violate? Because if we're going to vote to move this to adult without violating the policy, then we are violating the policy and can no longer say to the public, we are following our policy. So what section, what sentence in our policy does that book violate?
I had a couple of thoughts, sorry.
But no, not from the book, like what part of our policy, like which section of our policy do you believe? And then you can say the sections of the book that you think, but we have to, if it doesn't, the only options we have for our policy.
Is to move, is to relocate the book or label the book or retain the book. Those are the three, these are the three.
Yeah,
So
those are our
relocate,
choices.
retain, or label.
But we have to say.
So what she is saying is she would like it to be relocated to the adult section.
I
Dawn
understand,
is expressing that. as
per
well.
policy,
I'm calling for the vote. Secretary Armstrong,
so let's just be
Vice
clear.
President Bailey,
that
Okay.
Wait, what is
Trustee
the
Naylor.
question on the table?
Whether to move.
to move,
the book to
retain,
adult.
To
or
adult?
label.
So you, okay, the motion is to move the book to adult, correct?
Correct.
Without discussion?
We
Discussion.
discussion.
I move it to vote. Trustee Naylor,
No,
so you're voting to retain.
I am voting to retain, yes.
Treasurer Rosso,
Retain.
Trustee Smith, move. And I move. Motion doesn't pass. It's retained. Does anybody wish to move to relocate or label Magical Boy 1? That is retained. Does anybody wish to move, to relocate or label Magical Boy 2? That is retained. Does anybody wish to move, to relocate or label Rick? I do. I think that this book currently resides in juvenile. And the book discusses cross-dressing where Grandpa is a cross-dresser. Cross-dressing content is sometimes classified as sexually explicit because for some individuals it is historically and psychologically linked to sexual arousal, known as transsexual disorder or a sexualized kink. Cross-dressing is a complex behavior ranging from self-expression to clinical disorder, driven by a desire to explore femininity, relieve stress, or experience sexual arousal. I think that this book should be, so I think that this book should either have a sexually explicit label on there or be moved to adult.
So again, there's zero sex in this book. Nobody is having sex. There's no sexual contact. There's no nudity, sexual excitement, erotic fondling, sexual intercourse, or sadomasochistic abuse. The fact that some people are uncomfortable or offended by the content of a book, within our policy, we are not allowed to label a book because some people are offended by it. If we are going to follow the process that we've spent a year developing, it will be going through the definitions that we agreed on.
And that is what I'm going with.
So what
Cross-dressing
page
content
is-
is sometimes classified as sexually
What
explicit.
page
The
has
last chapter of the book is where Grandpa is dressed as a cross-dresser.
Well, Grandpa goes to Comic-Con.
Grandpa
dressed
goes
up.
to comic dressed as
So
a
he's-
cross-dresser.
Right. he
So
goes
it
to
is
Comic-Con.
it is classified as sexually
That
explicit.
is not classified. The definition of sexually explicit that we agreed on as a board is, does it depict nudity, sexual excitement, erotic fondling, sexual intercourse, or sadomasochism?
And it is considered sexual arousement.
It is not
sexual
universally
excitement.
considered. It may be, I'll grant that you consider it, but it is
I'm not
not
saying that I did. I'm pulling definitions out here
from where.
as to where it is.
Where's the
Known as
definition
trans disorder or sexualized kink.
Where's that?
Cross-dressing is a complex behavior ranging from self-expression to clinical disorder driven by a desire to explore femininity, relieve stress, or experience sexual arousal.
It's called autogenophilia,
When
and it's primarily in men. And
That
it's
is
been
not in
for
our policy.
transgenderism,
It
and
is
that's
not
actually a sexual.
You guys, this book is not sexual. There's nothing sexy about this book.
It's about a grandpa's relationship.
It's about a kid, a middle schooler feeling uncomfortable with his identity and figuring it out.
It's
There's
making-
nothing
It's
sexy.
making kids feel that it's okay and appropriate.
It
to
is
be-
not.
And you don't know the motivation of a person that's doing that. This grandpa might be okay, another grandpa might not. It, to me, it is not appropriate, and it's sexualizing the perception of the child to think that's okay, and that is my right, and I agree.
But we did not agree to evaluate these books based on what we feel is appropriate.
I'm giving the definition and I'm giving the chapter
Where is that
pages for the
definition
book.
from?
I'm calling the vote. Secretary Armstrong.
Wait, again, what are you voting on? I just
To
wanna
move to, move to
clear.
the adult section. Vice President Baisley,
Retain.
Trustee Naylor,
Retain.
Trustee Rosso,
Retain.
Trustee Smith,
Move.
and I'm removed. Motion passed, motion fails, it is retained. The wall one, is there anyone wishing to relocate or label? That is retained. The wall two, is there anyone wishing to relocate or label? That is retained. Okay, for the rest of the book challenges, we do need to discuss as well here, for books to go over next month. At this point, it needs to be discussed here with the board. The board still hasn't finished reading, books from November. Do we think that we'll be able to go over the rest of the ones on the list, maybe next month, or how there's?
Yeah, but I was pretty clear at the beginning of this process that I can do about 10 books a month, considering I'm the only trustee who's working a full-time job and raising kids at home. This is a significant effort of time. I'm reading every page, every word to make sure that I am prepared for the conversation. So about 10 books a month is my max right at time. I'm not gonna take any more time away from my kids. So
You're not the only trustee that works full-time and raises a family either, so.
I am the only one with a full-time job and underage children at home.
I have a special needs daughter at home who requires another 3 hours.
Okay, I accept that, but
Do you think it would be, possible to, on a look forward basis, maybe, identify the next 10 books?
I don't know.
I don't think we're ready.
We're not ready to do
Well,
that because.
That's fine.
But actually, I'm just putting it out there, we have had requests of the coffee chats that was more transparent, which books we're working on, because it's hard for the public to get the books to read them. So even if we're not gonna present them, if we maybe have like some kind of like, this is our next group, because they can't get them maybe as easy as we can, if we have our shelf. If we could kind of like not assign them, but say this is the ones we're gonna work on next, I think that would help the public, because they're upset about not knowing ahead of time which ones we're gonna
yeah, we could just put the balance on for next month.
Okay.
So what ones?
The balance of the books.
Oh, the balance.
Yeah.
So we'll update that now. We'll put
And then we
something
can
in for the
think of
website.
like kind of think ahead, like after, like we can do these next month, but then have an idea, because she's absolutely right, we can't read all of them.
Right.
What will potentially be like the next ones we can read so that people can be prepared.
So, Jean, like you've been doing, are you gonna
Right.
put out that list
Yeah.
then?
Yeah. And it'll be a mix, because it was kind of, Katie was kind of going with, so that it's not all Jessica books, it's not all this. With doing a lot of the, graphic novels, we thought that we quickly go through because they're graphic novels in there too, and not as many children's books. That being said as well, so part of this discussion, I'm just gonna throw it out there. If the purpose of this is also to either retain, relocate, or to label, all of the parenting books are currently in the parenting section for our original list that we had. I'm not quite sure how everyone feels about this or what have you. Since they are in parenting, they are already currently in that section, they reside in that section. I'm gonna throw this out for discussion here. How does the board feel about reading those books as well? They're in parenting, there are categories in there. The only other area to do would be either to retain in parenting, to move to adult, which
So are you suggesting that we just?
I'm
accept it and
suggesting,
retain?
well, that we just retain all the ones that are in parenting, but this is a full board discussion, so I don't just,
Support that.
because they're in parenting, I don't see us moving them to adult section. I'm just saying, just as to how it's.
I think that's a good idea. I think to keep momentum for efficiency purposes, to not require reading of the parenting, because they're already in that section. So I would support that suggestion also.
Okay. And that might help too, so the public's aware of that as well, because there's nowhere to move them except for adult, and I think they're categories well. So I move that we keep we retain the parenting ones outlined, baby making for everybody, beyond pronouns. Birds, the bees, and the elephant, free to understanding, gender identity guide for parenting, my child is trans, parenting for social justice, raising kids beyond the binary, raising the transgender child, sex education for boys, a parenting guide, sex education for girls, a parenting guide, sex is a funny word because there's two, and trans children in today's schools, to retain all these in the parenting section. That's the motion. Is there a second by Becky? You can second that? Okay. And let's roll call vote that too. Secretary Armstrong,
Yes.
trustee Vice President Basil, trustee Naylor, treasurer Russell,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
and I am a yes, motion passes. All of these books are found, just so we're fully aware, this was the original list that was posted online. It was not categories alphabetized, but these were all posted online per category, so it's all online. So if you're curious what books I just read, it was all in. This book is out of public, do we have any? Out of public? No?
You're not part of that?
Okay. Okay. Comments from the board? I have a comment from the board. I don't know if you're all aware, but the Friends of Cromaine have donated over $140,000 to this library. That's huge. The Friends work very, very hard on book sales, bake sales, pie sales, and that too. It's a great organization. Had the opportunity to meet with some of the friends that came to the coffee chat. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to them for all they do for this library. That is a lot of money to be raised for this library. So shout out to the friends. And you can all become a friend today, okay? Any other comments from the ladies?
I have a comment. It's not part of the book challenge, it's not specific to anything, but I think we need to take a look at what we're doing as far as the information that we're putting in the kids section. Because, I was remiss before when Bill Bowen was concerned about moving the book and I voted against it. And I have since then decided to read more into what the current research is on, gender reassignment surgery, puberty blockers, hormone replacement. And I was remiss for not reading it. I'm a healthcare professional and I'm worried that the library has content that is harmful to children, that is actually not evidence-based and is being promoted. Because of the book challenge, I'm having to read all these books that I didn't know were there. And I am not homophobic, I'm not transphobic. You can have your opinion that you want, but I'm concerned about children being encouraged to do these behaviors. And I think that the people that are thinking that's great are on the wrong side of history, because it's already being overturned in other countries. And the United States is slow to catch on. And I know there was a group of people, and I understand your concerns, and people got up and talked about all the people that committed suicide that were transgender, which I very much empathize with. But people commit suicide not just because they are transgender. People have comorbidities that are not being taken care of. And the things are being blamed on the fact that maybe they have a gender issue. So the problem is, instead of just a small male cohort mostly of kids thinking that they have an issue and having gender dysphoria, there's a larger cohort of females, which I was not aware, that also have neurocognitive issues that has sharply increased. And I don't think that's just because it was latent and people didn't know and now it's accepted. So the problem is, as a library and as the public, I actually am concerned that we're promoting this. So I'm very upset about it. I read the WPATH guidelines. I read the report from the UK, and I read the report from the United States. The WPATH guidelines are not, the reason people are going against them is because they're not evidence-based, very weak evidence. It doesn't decrease suicide. All the things that you're telling you are not correct. And I empathize with you because this is what you're being told. I'm concerned, and the library has, because I've read these books that are challenged, there's a lot of these books, and it's concerning to me. So that's just how I feel, and I'm really upset about it. And I think people should actually think about it a little bit more. So this is me talking. I'm not making anybody do anything. It's just, it's very upsetting to me. And I am listening to what you're saying, but I don't think you're actually thinking of any other sides of the issue. I'm trying to think of everything, and I'm trying to think about people's safety, especially children. So I'm not big nice to get out of 8:30 tonight. But a book on a library shelf is not the library promoting anything. We have a lot of books about that. In a children's section that tell them how to commit murder and promote them doing it. And that's what's happening. Kids are doing self-harm because
We are not responsible for what people read in this library. There are things in this library that offend everyone. There are things in this there are diet books in this library, and there are girls and boys. There are children who have eating disorders.
right, and we don't teach them how to be bulimic by putting books about how to be bulimic in the children's section.
The diet book is a book about how to lose weight. Like
It's not
that
about
is
becoming bulimic. I
we
just
started this conversation a year ago, right? And as soon as you start going back down and looking at, once you get into the weeds of what are we actually saying, what are we actually doing, what's actually in the policy, we landed here.
right, and I'm telling you, this is board comments, and I'm concerned that the library is promoting this because of this book challenge. I've been reading all these books. I have voted to retain them because it's appropriate. I have voted my conscience to retain most of them because they didn't violate policy, but it's very concerning to me. And I hope that 5-10 years from now, maybe it won't cause harm, but I'm really worried about it.
Thank you, Darren. I think that's well said.
Any other comments? Board comments? Okay. Meeting agenda items for the next meeting.
We go over the dates.
Agenda.
One of
Yes.
them's not on here, finance, we meet on the 8th to Wednesday, and that's a change from our usual. Personnel, we have TBD, but Tina, I think we're both on vacation on the 2nd.
Yes.
Can we
That's
move
why
it to
we
the
do-
9th? Can we move it to the 9th?
We're meeting on the 9th.
Yeah,
The 9th, it could be the 7th or the 8th, I think it was the 7th or the 8th.
okay, let's confirm the date.
Okay.
7
I have to look.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so not the 9th, I do remember that.
Right.
Okay.
When they do
So
that,
let me send an email tomorrow and we can
Okay.
type that
I have finance meeting on the 7th, not the 8th. Is that accurate?
up. Sure, I can do that.
I can
Can
move
you?
it.
Me? Oh,
Yeah, okay.
What is finance?
the 8th.
write that down.
That's a good finance and BA.
I can change it, I can do that, I just probably put it on the wrong day.
There was a reason, I think I had something on that.
On the
Crammed them all in there because of
Right.
spring break.
Spring
Sorry.
break. So,
So 3, 4, 8 for finance. We want the 7 or the 8 for personnel. I can't do both at the same
Right.
time.
so the seven.
And what is that, the Monday?
So, the sixth is the Monday, because that's, and then the seventh is the Tuesday.
Yeah. Let me.
Seventh is the Tuesday.
So I don't have that. But I'm glad we,
All right, I'll
and
put
then
it-
ad hoc, when I find out what the plan is, I will activate and hopefully.
And then just confirm strategic plan is.
Yes.
So just.
And that one,
I change it. Just, I change it, just.
I'll send an email to the board, but I am gonna be gone, spring break, I'm going to Denver.
Community relations is on the eighth, still everywhere.
Yes.
Yes.
Agenda items for the next meeting, review of 30 quarter statistics, National Library Week, 30-10, 40-10, did we?
30-20.
30-20.
And, oh yeah, we have to have that back. I had a question about 30-10, do we want to, are we gonna change it mid-season, or are we just gonna keep it until we're done with this?
I mean, we agreed to keep it until we're done with this.
We could go over it to make sure we all have read it, right, like, but I would say having changed it halfway through my review, I wouldn't recommend changing it. Unless we wanna,
I don't know if there's anything to tweak or anything, I think it
Yeah.
still should be for discussion for full board.
okay,
Go to, after committee and I don't,
You'll probably look at it.
right, just to look at
It's
it.
like we look at every other.
Every policy, every.
I probably won't, well, I have recommended changes, but I'm not ready to do them to you in the middle of your review, so I will wait. But if you think of things to talk about, I will listen.
All right, any other items for agenda for next meeting? 30-10, 30-20, 40-10, 40-30, 40-40. I move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Have a great night.